Saturday in the park. Every day's the 4th of July. Remember that from Chicago? It may be
taking it back to Chicago.
Chicago? Nah, the group.
Yeah, taking it back to the Chicago.
The 70s.
Yeah,
Saturday in the park. Every day's a friggin' 4th of July.
What is that? Fireworks?
I don't know. Well,
Every day's fireworks?
Well, it's not the
Bing, bang, boom.
It's not the park.
Wham, bam, thank you, man.
Wham, bam, thank you, man. Well, it may not be the park, but the weather is certainly lovely. You know, the ending, the unofficial ending of summer, and slowly creeping into autumn of 2012 with this
pumpkin season.
With the dry weather, the dry, cooler temperatures, and a lot of breeze, very refreshing. And as you could see, we're going au naturel here with the door open. And yes, it is Saturday, September 15th, 2012.
Half the month is gone.
Yeah, and we're slowly approaching the solar flare storms that are supposed to do us in. The infamous 2012.
2012 is not the end of the world. No matter how much of the grid goes from the solar flares, that's something else.
Right. That's what I was talking about. But I figure let me throw in
the end of the age.
The Mayan calendar.
The end of the age is not here yet, according to biblical prophecy.
Is that the age of Aquarius?
The age of Aquarius is gone.
Aquarius.
Gone.
Aquarius.
That was around in the 60s.
No, not
I don't know if it's still in.
No, we're not in the age of Aquarius. Technically, forget about the fifth dimension in the song. I'm talking about the actual age of Aquarius. We didn't reach it yet. And it's supposed
to... What the hell were we singing about in the 60s?
Because because it was foretold that by, I guess, astrologers that this would come about. And it mentioned something about a whole new world, which probably has to do with, maybe it's after the tribulation. Who knows? All right, listen. Let me get by the formalities first and get it over with. I'm going to officially pipe aboard our progressive pirate ship, our illustrious, or my illustrious, well, ours too, co-host and mentor and founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977. Arr, ahoy, matey. Welcome, my co-host and mentor.
Called all the dogs in the neighborhood.
The Pope of the Internet himself. The Reverend Dr. William
Call
J.
no man father except your father in heaven.
Let me friggin' finish announcing you properly.
No popes.
This guy could be a real interrupter. Interruptus.
That is what Romney needs on the campaign trail.
Interruptus?
A fact checker to interrupt him, to correct him constantly.
Didn't they use that word in a sexual term, interruptus?
Coitus interruptus, where otherwise known as withdrawal.
Withdrawing before you shoot the load?
However,
scumguppies?
It does not work because there are spermatozoa in the precoital fluid.
Precoital?
So that doesn't work.
Oh, gosh. Anyway,
that's a birth control method.
Birth control. Well, because as Ruth Westheimer used to say, Dr. Ruth Westheimer, even a tiny drop of sperm contains semen. Semen contains.
A drop of semen has sperm.
Thousands and thousands.
Oh yeah. Because there's about 200 million in one ejaculation.
And it's depending on the volume of the ejaculation, that will vary.
Yeah, if you're Peter North, I mean, you could have, a billion.
Hey, refreshing pre-autumn, pre-coitus, pre-autumn breeze coming here. Oh, let me finish introducing him. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, How are you feeling, sir, today, this week?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, this kind of weather tends to invigorate people.
Don't invigorate me.
No?
No.
Okay, whatever.
I want to get work done and go to sleep.
Right. Now, you got a lot of work here. We're coming to you live and also pre-recorded as we speak from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in Northeastern New Jersey. Welcome to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, and of course you know my co-host. Now, I want to start by saying I had to move in my Facebook group. I had to move the Food and Beer Whisperer segment to its own new group called Food and Beer Whisperers because I got a lot of heat about the idea I had to make the Truth Whisperers a multi-topic group. It got too overwhelming and people were getting annoyed that there were too many different clashing topics being posted on one group. People have a tendency, I don't want to call it fanaticism, but they have a tendency to like their groups segregated or arranged according to subject contents. You know, they get too discombobulated when there's too many subjects in one group. So
I don't go for groups.
No. Some people go, well, people that are independent and a tad bit on the arrogant side do not like to join groups. Well, my groups are heavy duty, man. Remember that. Well, we
remember what Groucho
uncensored
Marx said?
too. What?
Any group that would have him, he wouldn't belong to.
That's what Groucho said?
Something to that effect. I was paraphrasing.
And I just want to say that Reverend Bill.
I think he meant it in reference to a political party.
Oh, well, Groucho Marx was an extremely witty and an intelligent comedian. He was like the Three Stooges, where if you really listen to their jokes, they're very clever. No, forget about the funny noises and the funny faces and the curly. I'm talking about the shtick, the stuff that came out of Moe's mouth, and all three of them, all four of them actually. They were very witty jokes, way ahead of their time. I mean, Groucho
over the head of a lot of people back then too.
Exactly, Groucho, a lot of wit, and you know, and then he was just pure humor. I mean, you know, in terms of real funny jokes. Now, and then later on, George Carlin was one of my, you know, I was always a huge fan of him because he was probably one of the most, or the most intelligent comedians of all time. You know, and his subject matter and the material he used were not just to get a laugh. There were messages, and it contained a lot of true
messages in the bottle.
Information. A lot of true information. Very hard-hitting. George Carlin, may he rest in peace. Now, yeah, he's worth saluting, believe me. Hey, did you see that photo I put up of Rush Limbaugh with the long cigar? It looked like a torpedo out of his mouth. It wasn't a very becoming, complimentary photo of Rush Limbaugh, and that's why I posted it. But the two gentlemen over on the Truth Whisperers said that that the girl he called the 30-year-old slut actually expected somebody else to pay for her birth control. Like
that's not what happened.
Like $1,000 a year?
That's not what happened. Well, that's a lie.
That she's not a real slut that expects somebody else to pay for her birth control? What happened?
It had nothing to do with her having sex and having birth control in that sense. She was talking about Planned Parenthood.
That Republicans want to get rid of Planned Parenthood.
That's correct. That's correct.
So instead of addressing the issue of cutting Planned Parenthood for low-income women,
he insulted the woman.
He just insulted the women.
As his want. That is his want.
Well, I'm going to have to post something on the Truth Whispers, a Facebook group that I own, I would have to, I'm a moderator actually, I'm going to have to post something to the effect that I am all for Planned Parenthood and all social programs for the poor and low-income people. So, you know what? If they got a problem with it, like I always say, make the rich pay for it. It's that easy. It's that simple.
It used to be.
Do I feel sorry for the rich? Hell no. They got the money.
You should not feel sorry for the rich, and you should not give to the rich. As the Bible says, they have their consolation.
That's right.
Okay?
That is right.
He who gives to the rich shall surely come to want.
Yes. Now.
And he who robs from the poor, just because they are poor, it's a sin.
And
it's a sin to give to the poor.
Isn't it a sin to arrest a starving poor person for stealing a loaf of bread, according to the Bible?
No, it's not that sense. You shouldn't, in God's sense, there should not be that situation.
What about charging interest to the poor?
That usury is a sin. And guess who allowed the credit card companies to charge their exorbitant usury?
Who?
Ronald Reagan.
And I'm glad you brought his name up. Before my little monologue, Ronald Reagan is the person, whether you believe it or not, people.
People are entitled to their own opinions. They are not entitled to their own facts.
You're deluded. You deluded,
fact is a fact.
deceived, misguided lemmings out there. Ronald Reagan is the one who shifted the tax burden from the rich to the middle class and the poor. The middle class are getting strangled because of Ronald Reagan. But you probably won't believe that, because Ronald Reagan is like your patron saint.
Saint Reagan.
Saint Reagan.
Yeah.
So, but that is the truth. But there's no facts coming out of the mouths of conservatives anyway. You ever notice, Dr. Bill, that, you know, I know some people that once they get into a serious relationship and they get married, just because they supposedly, you know, in a semi-crude way, I will use these terms, just because they lay pipe with a woman, the woman immediately becomes possessive and starts bossing the man around and telling him what to do and what not to do. And even if they are things that the man enjoys doing, like a hobby or an interest or broadcasting, and these men become pussy whipped.
Maybe that's not the reason. Maybe they're just afraid. Or maybe they just don't want to.
What do you mean they don't want to?
Maybe they just don't want to.
Well, then if it means
these people you're talking about,
if it means people,
if they're the same people I think
if
they
it means people dodging old James P. Madonna and avoiding being a guest on his show, then they're probably jealous of old James P. Madonna.
Probably not. The reasoning is
I'm the king of internet broadcasting.
The reasoning is probably because the same people you're talking about, I believe, are non-political. And they do not wish to be involved in that sort of stuff, rocking the boat and etc.
Well,
They are adaptive supporters and proud of their role.
Yeah, but I try to stick to the subject if it's non-political. But politics, whether you like it or not, even with holistic health talk, politics is interconnected.
They have not come to that conclusion yet.
You mean they're not independent?
They have not evolved.
They have not evolved. That's a nice way of putting it. They don't have the minds that we have.
No, they do not.
And if you look at the hundreds of videos that we have on the internet, that'll prove to you that we are the kings of internet talk radio. And you can take that to the bank. Now, getting back to the subject really quick. Progressive liberal America versus right-wing conservative America. Which one is better for the mainstream population? First of all, let us look at right-wing conservative America. Okay, let's just pretend that the Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. I mean, which is Congress.
God forbid.
God forbid. Well, first, what you're going to have is complete deregulation of companies, of businesses, big businesses.
I think we just had that during the Bush administration.
Right. Now, what
you see where it led us?
Well, what this does, it allows big business to lie to you, to swindle you, to cheat you, to bamboozle you, lie to you in advertisements, put out faulty, shoddy products, like products that maybe have some safety hazards in it, but it gives the company more profit. So what do they care about safety to the consumer? So quality control is not enforced. Price gouging goes through the roof. Okay, you will be ripped off, lied to, and you will have unsafe products like maybe a car. And you know, will there be a federal agency to protect your ass as a consumer? Probably not under a complete Republican rule. And you will have white collar. There will be no white collar crime, because all people like the Goldman Sachs boys will never even get a slap on the wrist.
They will have, as they did,
immunity.
No, they will change the laws so that their criminality becomes legality.
Right.
Angels of light.
Which is the next newsletter censored issue. And you will have a complete corporate plutocracy where the elitist 1% fat cat corporations will rule the United States and the world.
It's called fascism.
Fascism, and you'll have fascism, and you won't have any middle class, because the middle class will gradually be decimated and become poor. So you will have poor slaves working for peanuts, literally.
We'll go back to feudalism.
Child labor.
Remember what came out of
child
feudalism.
labor too. What?
Remember what came out of feudalism.
Revolution.
Capitalism.
Capitalism. See, capitalism is the devil's economics, and the conservative form of capitalism is a form of totalitarian fascism with greed, like the imperial, like the old King of England, when everything belonged to the king.
That's my deer.
You can't hunt my deer in my forest. So that's what we will have, basically, in a nutshell, under a right-wing Republican United States. Okay, so it's not a good thing. If you're middle class and poor, just kiss your ass goodbye. You know, and that's not counting all the jobs that will be outsourced, and there'll be nothing left. But I don't know, what would people do? Like wipe the asses of the corporate CEOs every time they take a dump? I mean, what jobs would be left? Dog catcher? No, that's a municipal job. That costs
That's correct. That's social.
That costs taxpayers' money.
That's
so
right. No dog catcher.
Oh, you'll be totally screwed. Women will have no rights at all.
That's barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen.
Oh, forget about it. And you'll have religious, right-wing fundamentalists, zealot religious nuts.
A conservative told me one time.
They will totally rewrite the Bible, and it'll be total chaos.
They're already doing that.
Chaos.
Check it out on the internet.
What did the conservatives say? You said something.
They rewrite the Bible. They're already doing it.
They're already rewriting the Bible. So
they want to make it more conservative friendly, because the Bible is not conservative friendly.
So they claim
the Bible has nothing to do with politics.
So they claim to have family values and to be real Christians, but it's all a lie. It's all a facade. You know, the patriotic mumbo jumbo, the flag waving is all a lie too. They hide behind the flag, because if you're a patriot,
use God as a front man.
If you were patriotic, you wouldn't be outsourcing American jobs, and you would be paying your fair share in taxes if you were a rich person, if you were a high-income person, and you will not be afraid to reveal your tax forms in entirety, which we're talking about Romney.
Mr. Romney.
We're talking about Romney. And of course, under a progressive liberal America, You will have total honesty and fairness. The rich will pay the bulk of the taxes. The more money you make, the more taxes you will pay. It's only fair. The poor and the middle class will not have the tax burden at all. And don't forget, the middle class make up small businesses, entrepreneurial ships, and mom and pop stores. That's the middle class.
The Republicans today are making believe they love those people.
No, they don't love them.
Well, they say they do. That's what they're working for.
Right. So
they're the ones who create the jobs, and they want to help them.
And under a progressive liberal America, you will have total consumer protection. You will have safe products being made. The consumer will not be ripped off because justice will come harshly upon the corporation that screws the public. Total fairness, sharing of the natural resources and the wealth, and all the social programs to help the poor will come back, and women will be treated as equals, not second-class citizens, and the poor, the disabled, the unfortunate, the homeless, everybody will be taken care of in a wealthy first world, supposedly, country. Okay, and yes, the rich will pay for it. It's too damn bad if they don't like it.
And then the conservatives will call all those people moochers.
Well, because they like to call names. That's their only resort. You know, their name calling. So, you know, that's pretty much it. Health care will be for all, and a good education, including a good public college education, will be available to even the poorest child who happens to be intelligent and have a high IQ or gets good grades. That poor child will be guaranteed a college education, not these ridiculous rip-off highway robbery tuitions in the United States
and student loans.
What does the average college university charge for? What do you think for a bachelor's degree in America?
Who knows? But it's too much.
It's like $100 grand. What is it?
It's too much. Whatever it is.
It's insane. And what else is insane is the cost of American health care.
Education should be free.
And so should health care.
That's why conservatives don't like libraries.
Because people smarten up.
You can get a free education.
People smarten up too much.
In a library.
They don't want people to, they want to dumb down the population.
That's correct.
They don't want you to know what's really going on. So a decent education, including college, should be a privilege, not a right.
What?
I mean, should be a right.
Holy mackerel, the man turned conservative!
No.
Right before my eyes!
No, I mean, I'm sorry. A good education, including college, should be a right, not a privilege, and decent health care should be a right, not a privilege for all, and an adequate retirement. Now, I'm not counting rich old people that retire that are loaded. Okay, they don't need any help. They don't need a retirement, you know, Social Security or any help from the government. They're already rich. I'm talking about middle class to poor retired people are entitled to a decent, healthy, happy retirement. I mean, within reason, you know, nice, safe neighborhood, decent shelter, clothes, food, you know, the basics. You know, I mean, if you're rich and you have a mansion, you don't need any help with your retirement, naturally. But yeah, that's it. Basic, yeah.
Basic horn blowing.
Basic horn blowing. Basic needs of life should be a right for the people that are not wealthy.
Well, what Wall Street did in those Bush years.
What an asshole out here. And the Goldman Sachs boys would be in prison, by the way.
Robbed and stole trillions of dollars from people's retirements.
Prison under a complete progressive liberal government. They will be imprisoned, and they will have to pay restitution to the people they stole from and hurt.
There was a case just occurred.
Restitution. I like that word.
In New York, I believe this guy rapes this woman in, I think it was Central Park, Strawberry Fields, you know.
Strawberry Fields forever.
And he had so many other problems that he was into and everything, where one would think that he'd be in jail for life. But no. In Texas,
Yeah.
you write 3 bad checks and you're in jail for life. But this guy was on the street to be able to rape the woman.
Texas puts you in jail for life for writing 3 bad checks?
Yeah.
Isn't that a tad bit harsh?
I would say so. That's
Now-
my point.
Now we got a barking dog.
2 dogs.
Shut the hell up.
Somebody walking up the street with another dog. I guess.
What a bunch of... You see how low class America's becoming? Oh,
Hey, dogs are dogs, man.
yeah, but, you know, not during our show.
They don't know about the show.
I'm going to give you an example of deregulating companies deceiving and lying to the public. In this case, it's false advertisement. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman ordered some cushions for his office desk chair, which looks quite nice. It looks like a king's throne.
Oh, God.
But anyway, in the
chair.
in the advertisement, what company was this?
I can't say, because I don't remember.
All right, it was a catalog. It said that these cushions are memory foam. Now, memory foam, I know what it is, because when they
I
make
know what it is, too.
the mattresses that they make that are memory foam are quite expensive, and they conform. They bounce back
They
instantly.
conform to your ass.
They conform to any pressure being put upon them without affecting the entire cushion. In other words, if you're in a bed and you're lying on a queen-size memory foam bed and you're on one side and you're a tosser and a turner, and the other person goes to sleep immediately and stays still, that person would not feel the restless tosser and turner. That's how good it is. But this is not memory foam. This is regular foam. This is not memory foam. So this is a lie. This is false advertisement. This is regular
And it
cheapo.
ain't what I wanted.
Huh?
It ain't what I wanted.
No, because he ordered it.
And I bought 2 of them.
He ordered it, 2 of them. He ordered it thinking it was going to be memory foam. But it's bullshit. So under Republicans, they would say, hey, let the buyer...
Caveat emptor.
Let the buyer
My
be...
fault.
Let the buyer beware, they would say. It's your fault for not being a smart consumer. Well, how could you be
You can't smart if you don't got the information.
If somebody lies to you, how are you supposed to prevent that as a consumer?
That's what happened with Wall Street. They were lying about the derivatives and the investing and etc. just to collect fees. So how can you be a smart investor if you got bad information?
Well, let's put it this way. When it comes to ill-gotten gains and profit over people and the planet, the right-wing Republicans are all for that.
Ooh.
And they would do nothing, the right-wingers would do nothing to the company that lies to the consumer, saying that they're buying a memory foam cushion when they're not, when it's cheap rubber. Here.
Put it over there
Okay.
for now.
All right. Now you understand why I wanted to make my point with the memory, with the foam, the cheap foam cushion. But anyway, let us sink our teeth into these articles immediately. You said you had 1 or 2 humdingers Wednesday. When you
I did?
Yeah, you said you
They're
had...
all humdingers.
You told me I'm going to tape record this guy Wednesday
Okay.
when I have a meeting with him. I'm tape recording what he says. You said you had a real hard-hitting article.
I did?
A very revealing article that had to
About
be
what?
told.
They all have to be told.
But do you usually lay the best ones on top?
No.
I'm going to tape this guy on Wednesday. You watch.
Tea
I'm
parties
going to tape him.
that displayed extreme levels of anger directed at the Obama administration, it is time for those involved to reassess where they get their information. These people cite right-wing pundits as their sources of the truth. let's examine their recent record in delivering the truth. Here is a partial list of claims made by the right-wing pundits. Number 1, Iraq possessed vast stockpiles of weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, yeah?
It did not. Number 2, Saddam Hussein was an ally of Al-Qaeda. He was not. The Iraq war will pay for itself in oil revenues. They missed it by that much.
Oh, get smart. Maxwell Smart used to say that. They missed it by that much, Chief.
Privatization of Social Security is a good idea. Not so much in view of the economic meltdown. Terry Schiavo is not brain dead. She was. Nobody could have foreseen the breaching of the levees in Katrina. Quite the contrary. President Obama wasn't born in the United States. It's remarkable that protesters show up with 2 different birth certificates, purporting to prove he was born in Kenya at the same rally.
Well, we all know that the Republicans just do not like a black man being president of the United States.
Oh, my God.
That's deep down, that's their real hang-up.
Obama is a Muslim. He's not. Well, there's another contradiction. A couple of years ago, they were yelling and screaming about Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Remember? His pastor,
Yeah.
which was a Christian pastor. Now he's a Muslim.
Well, if Obama was a Muslim, then why did I see a very young Barack and Michelle Obama embracing in front of their Christmas tree in Hawaii? If he was such a devout Muslim, why would he have a Christmas tree?
Obama is weakening our Defense Department. Is that why he retained Bush appointee Bob Gates as Secretary of Defense? Obama is a socialist. Is that why he kept Ben Bernanke as Federal Reserve Chairman?
No, because unfortunately Democrats are obsessed with bipartisanship.
Obama is a fascist. He can't be if he's a socialist, and he can't be a socialist if he's a fascist. With an accuracy record like this, why does anyone pay attention to what Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, or Glenn Beck have to say? Good question.
Good question. Oh, I saw a photo, a young teenage
Ninja Turtle?
Let me finish. A young teenage...
Little levity.
Again, you interrupts me. Coitus interruptus? No, a young teenage Barack Obama, next to his mother, and she, I assure you, she is quite Caucasian, and she's very Irish looking, and she is Irish actually. Irish. She's very, she's very white. So Barack Obama is half Caucasian. So for those that, you know, are so racist against him, you know. So it's and you know, like Tiger Woods, they African Americans take credit for Tiger Woods' athletic ability. Well, ability happens to be half Thai. He's half Asian and half black. You know, they don't mention the Asian part.
Well, we don't put much stock in what conservatives say.
Yeah.
Scientists have discovered well-preserved, frozen woolly mammoth fragments deep in Siberia.
Yeah, they're looking for, I think they have the DNA of a woolly mammoth.
That may contain living cells.
If you know, they could bring back the woolly mammoth easily, they said, by using the Asian elephant.
Edging a tad closer to the Jurassic Park.
That's right.
Possibility of cloning a prehistoric animal
What happened to the dino chicken? They have the DNA. They had the DNA of Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they were going to put it in a chicken.
That's all we need is a Tyrannosaurus Rex running around.
No, dino chickens, man. Dino chickens. A fertilized chicken egg with T-Rex DNA in it. I think that's cool.
Russia's Northeastern Federal Reserve University, said an international team of researchers discovered mammoth hair, soft tissues, and bone marrow some 328 feet underground during a summer expedition in northeastern province of Yakutia.
Maybe the hair club for men can use the mammoth hair and make some expensive prehistoric toupees.
Expedition Chief Samyon Grigoriev said Korean scientists with the team had set a goal of finding living cells in the hope of cloning a mammoth.
Go ahead. I give him...
Oh, you give him your permission?
I give him my blessings to do it.
Oh, God.
Well, you don't have to worry about cloning Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, man, because we have plenty of them running around today. They're called Republicans.
U.S. intelligence agencies, speaking about hard-hitting, have mistakenly monitored the phone calls and emails of United States citizens without warrants and won't reveal how many times it happened.
Without warrants?
That's correct.
What happened to our rights?
Rights. The incidents weren't intentional and occurred as the agencies conducted electronic surveillance of suspected foreign terrorists. Robert Licht, General Counsel for the United States National Intelligence Director, told reporters, President Obama's administration is seeking to renew a law providing broad authority to conduct electronic surveillance
excuse me,
and is facing resistance from some lawmakers over concern that the communications of Americans have been monitored.
It's not good. I just love this early autumn weather. It invigorates me. Doesn't invigorate him, but what are you gonna
The
do?
2008 law updated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, to provide a legal framework for warrantless wiretapping the government began after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001.
Huh.
There have been some compliance incidents
Uh-huh.
involving the incidental collection of U.S. citizens' communications. The incidents have been unintentional, accidental, and not reflective of any intent to evade the statute. The law expires in December, and the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote today on a bill that would reauthorize it until the end of 2017. U.S. intelligence agencies are required to follow procedures to minimize the collection, retention, and dissemination of communications involving United States citizens. A court-approved warrant is required if a U.S. citizen becomes the target of surveillance. Litt wouldn't say how many times the communications of U.S. citizens have been monitored. This is not something that's reasonably possible to estimate with any degree of accuracy. In order to do that, we'd have to talk about the details of the collection in a way that would compromise national security. Asked if he knew how many incidents there have been, he said, "There are times when somebody in my position likes to stick very closely to talking points." Privacy groups have filed lawsuits claiming the law is unconstitutional and gives the government unchecked powers.
Fascinating. We got a small one before break.
The voter suppression is a moral issue. It's wrong.
Sure it is.
A fair-minded person would not want elections won due to voter suppression. Voter suppression is an erosion of our civil and voting rights. It will affect some people much more than others. We and the next generations will be affected if we accept it. Speakers at the Republican National Convention did not reject it. Republicans claim the voter fraud is the reason for voter ID laws. Voter fraud is not the problem. Republicans suppressing votes is the problem. Republicans suppressing votes, other Republicans admit that they want to suppress votes. Republicans are not secure in winning votes legitimately.
No, because they'll lose the popular vote 9 times out of 10. Maybe
they are
more.
not qualified to be leaders.
No, because they're idiots with no facts.
Instead of creating laws with the intention to suppress votes, they should have improved their policies to be more inclusive of all Americans.
Oh, I'm sorry. They do have facts. They're just so corrupt. They pretend not to notice them.
Use social media to inform and educate people all over the country about voter suppression. Encourage people to register to vote. Encourage those discouraged by leaders sabotaging their rights. America should move forward. With voter suppression, we will regress. It appears that the Republican agenda is to take Americans back to the days of Jim Crow, the times of slavery. Why do they seem proud of that? And I have a question. This is not part of the article, this is my interjection. Why do they get away with it?
Because they have the elitists behind them to pay everybody off, totally in a totally corrupt government.
Well, the media never brings them to heel, do they?
Oh, the so-called liberal media?
Yes, the media.
You know, they're still throwing that up to my face. The right-wingers on the group. The truth whisperers about the liberal media?
Yeah.
There is no liberal media.
Never was.
No, they have to do the bidding of the sponsors, which are the corporations.
And the conservative Republicans have a very difficult problem because many times what they call liberal is right. They have a difficulty in distinguishing the two.
I mean, from a moral standpoint, right and wrong are distorted according to the right wing.
Yeah, to them they have no ability to discriminate between liberal and right.
Isn't that a trait of what is it, sociopathic personality or psychopathic personality?
Well, that is they are without a natural affection.
Yeah, I'm talking about the ability to distinguish right from wrong.
That's usually a person who has no brain.
Well, you're talking.
What was that movie?
You're talking about
Donovan's Brain.
You were talking about Republican voters, for sure.
Well, that's because they're brainwashed with bleach.
a person that is brainwashed, as opposed to people like myself and the Reverend Dr. Bill, who are far from being brainwashed, and other, progressive, independent, free thinkers with an open mind, intelligent people. The difference is that simply you have to be a stupid person naturally to allow yourself to be brainwashed by propaganda without researching it, without hearing both sides, right?
Well, if you're lazy, that's what you do. I run into this all the time. I work my ass off studying, working, like with the Bible or something like that, and then I'll write a God project, and I'll pepper it with all kinds of scripture references, and people will criticize without looking it up.
They won't even look it up.
They won't go and do their homework. They'll just give you their talking point or their opinion or this, that, and the other thing.
Ideology.
But they won't look it up.
But they'll disagree with you.
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of brain dead people, I really was it Gary No who mentioned it, or I think I read it in more than one place, that green tea has the ability to rejuvenate dead brain cells, to grow brain cells. They have discovered green tea can grow brain cells, which means Republicans
need green tea,
and the people that vote for them, they better stock up on a lot of green tea.
Many like to sing "God Bless America," but God blesses the disenfranchised, not leaders who sabotage the rights of others.
Yeah, why should God bless them?
Well, God has nothing to do with this stuff here, you know what I mean?
God doesn't get involved with, well, if you talk to the...
We are cut off from God.
If you talk to the evangelical, so-called born-again Christians...
In quotation marks.
That believe in the immortal soul that flies out of your body, and if you believe them, they would tell you that you can have a conversation with God just about anywhere. But that he's not for them at this time. He's for the 144,000 elect that will rule in Jerusalem, and it's not our time yet. Okay.
It's not the time of the vast majority of humankind to become one with God.
No. So as far as
you must be called.
As far as talking to God and saying the baby needs new shoes, your pastor is very wrong telling you can do that. So forget about it. Oh, by the way, there was a message this week again. I get it every week. There's a message from all of the 1% elitist corporate American CEOs together with the right-wing Republican politicians. There's a message that they have every week for the poor in America, or maybe the world. And it sounds like this. We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you.
Because you're sucking up our resources.
What does that sound like to you, that message?
The silence.
We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. We are here.
At least they're warning us.
Kill you. You kill you. We are here to kill you.
Resistance is futile.
We are here to kill you. That's the message the Republicans have for the poor.
But vote for us.
In the case of Chris Christie, he probably says, I am here to barbecue you.
Roasted chicken.
Roasted homeless? Christie would do that.
Soylent Green, baby.
Soylent Green, baby. Anyway, we got to take a break. It's time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's gastronomic delight known as lunch. All right. So Gary knows social event, the singles party, get together, had a lot of dance party, had a lot of wacky,
1984.
a lot of wacky, weird, funny looking, ugly people.
Wow.
As we say in Italian.
A bunch of characters.
Characters, yeah. As we say in Italian, faccia brutta. Ugly face. Well, oh boy. Well, anytime you have regardless of what the interests are or the hobbies, anytime you have a singles party or singles dance and you advertise it as a singles dance, especially where you put sticky labels on everybody with their names on it, you get the funniest looking misfits. People that couldn't get a date, couldn't get laid if they were in a monkey whorehouse with a sack full of bananas. You get everybody like that attending these singles dances. Oh my God. Fat people, obese people, you know, like Chris Christie.
Most of these people were just ugly.
Two-baggers, which is pretty ugly because, you know, two-bagger is a paper bag for her head and a paper bag for your head, just in case her bag falls off.
Yeah.
The infamous two-bagger. And they all show up, you know. Because I guess because it's kind of embarrassing, you know, to go to a singles dance. Singles, it's advertised. A singles dance where you wear a name tag.
Hi, my name is Bill.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Bill. A big smile on your face.
I'm an Aquarian.
I'm an Aquarian. What's your
sign?
What's your sign? What's your sign? Like Glenn Quagmire of Family Guy. All the guys are like Glenn Quagmire. Oh man. And then you have, well, the only time the name tag thing actually worked out, it was pretty cool. Back in the let me think. Yeah, back in the 1980s, I went to a local hotspot, and they had a game. And the game was that everybody would cast a vote, you know, in like a goldfish bowl. They would put a slip of paper folded up. Everybody would cast a vote on who they liked, you know, by visual appearance, who they liked the best in the whole club. And everybody would wear this name tag. This way people would know who liked them. And then they would count the number of votes, and if your name had the most votes, you won, and you got a prize, which was usually a bottle of booze, or I think it was champagne or something. It's a bar, you know. That's the easiest thing to give as a prize, right? So people would vote. I thought it was very clever because, you know, a lot of people, particularly women, seem to be very reluctant to let a guy know that they like them. I don't know if it's cultural or if it's natural to their gender, but they are really, I mean, as far as like eye contact, like a man would give eye contact a lot quicker and easier than a woman would. You know, a woman would immediately glance away if she's checking out a guy and then he turns around and he looks at her. She'll turn away in a split second. You know, most women. So they really are. They have a hang-up about letting a guy know that they like them too. It's like pulling teeth. And then you have some women that are extremely assertive. Lap dancers. But then they worried about
lap dancers.
Tap dancers?
Lap dancers.
Oh, lap dancers.
Very assertive.
Well, it's because they want money.
Ah.
Because they don't get those exotic dancers, otherwise known as go-go dancers. Today, they don't get paid a salary anymore.
Oh.
They pay the DJ and the owner to work there, similar to a waitress in a diner receiving less than minimum wage. How they get away with that, I don't know. They get less than minimum wage because the owners know how much they can make in tips. Same thing with the go-go bar. The owners know how much these girls are making in tips and lap dances, so they stiff them. I don't know how the labor laws allow these business establishments to get away with this crap. And this is what you get under Republicans, by the way. This is part of deregulation. You don't get labor laws. So anyway, you don't have labor laws. So anyway, yeah, they got to pay, like the, usually the owner, they might pay him like $25 to work there, and they have to tip the DJ. Meanwhile, it's the DJ's damn job to play music. But if they want the DJ to play their favorite songs, they got to pay this jabroni. They got to tip this motherfucker. So, yeah, so anyway, the diner thing, they shouldn't have to get paid less than minimum wage. I'm sorry.
That's one of the flaws in capitalism.
Minimum wage is the law, by the way.
Which I keep bitching about. The employer will not employ you unless you can make for him more money than he pays you.
Is that just simple arithmetic?
It's simple capitalism.
Like Bill Clinton has said recently, simple arithmetic, which is common sense.
I do not think that Republicans, especially the conservative type, are very good in math.
No, they're not. They're not good in anything intellectual. If they were, they would believe that global warming is very real.
They disdain intellectuals. They call them elites. They hate professors.
I told you about my good buddy Iron Man Vinny Blake was going to embrace the green movement by putting solar panels on his roof and doing all kinds of stuff. And the town he lives in, Ridgefield Park, said they were going to jack up his property taxes if he put solar panels on the roof. And he said, screw the green movement. So they wanted to, the politicians wanted to rip him off for taking part in the green movement. Isn't that the same as an electric or hybrid car costing many thousands of dollars more than a regular gasoline internal combustion vehicle? It's like they're price gouging the green movement.
It's all calculated to keep us on fossil fuels.
On purpose.
For the big boys.
Capitalism under conservatives is the devil's economics, plain and simple. Bill Clinton said simple arithmetic. Well, I'm telling you, simple, plain and simple. It is so anti-God of the Bible. You know what I mean? Are you done with that, jabroni? Not yet? Okay. Oh, real quick, before I go to promo, I want to salute my good friend, the king of clubs, the foremost authority in the United States on Persian and Indian club swinging, circular strength training, Mr. Army McGuire, okay, who is recovering from his detached retina surgery. I salute Army McGuire, especially because he will be opening up his new business enterprise in Los Angeles, California. 100% authentic, traditional Persian and Indian wooden exercise clubs made by Iranian wood turners, 100% authentic. Okay, you've seen the Iron Sheik swing them in the ring.
Now, if we go to war with Iran,
what was I going to say?
we might not be able to get them.
No, they're going to be made in Los Angeles.
Well, you got to have the wood turning in from Iran.
They're Iranian. They're the largest Iranian community outside of Iran is in Los Angeles, California.
Where to get the wood?
He has where to get the wood. Duh. United States doesn't have wood?
The Iranian wood?
No, no. The clubs are made from many different types of wood. As long as you're using natural wood that Mother Nature grows from a tree, you can.
We can cut the umbilical cord to Iran.
You don't. No, there's no special Iranian wood.
Oh.
They use in Iran. They've used elm. They've used walnut. I mean, any wood is good.
Wood is good.
Like Kenny Rogers used to say, it's the wood that makes it good. And all wood has a very unique, beautiful wood grain that is natural to that wood. And no two pairs of clubs are alike. After you carve it out, you spin it and you carve the club out of the wood. And you do lose a lot of wood when you convert a log into clubs. And then you
also matchsticks.
Right. Now you sand it extremely smooth, and then you stain it to bring out the grain, to bring out the beautiful grain, and then I believe they polyurethane it, coat it with that. So every pair of clubs has its own beautiful wood grain.
So we don't have nothing to do with Iran.
No, no, there's no need for it.
All right, let's go to war.
The we won't lose out on Persian clubs. The largest community is in Los Angeles. Now, unfortunately, the younger generation does not care about preserving this ancient tradition, but thank God there are a few of us that care. But anyway,
care about methamphetamine and bath salts and sniffing glue and
You mean partying
and care about that.
Partying and getting high and getting drunk?
Yeah.
Like Tony Testosterone told me, we don't care. Me and Jimmy don't care about politics. We just care about fun and feeling good.
Partying, baby.
That's the hedonistic lifestyle, right?
And then when they say feeling good, that means when you're drunk and you're numb, you can't feel nothing.
Well, Kelly Chen told me, I told her that having a glass of whiskey every day will relax you and take the edge off of life. She told me, yeah, that's because some of your brain cells are dead. That's why you feel relaxed. I thought that was a cute answer.
1,000 brain cells.
Kelly Chen, my right-hand person over at the Facebook groups, I salute you, with the lucky Blackthorn imported weapons grade shillelagh from Ireland, and also back to Army McGuire will be starting his new business. 100% traditional, authentic, wooden Persian clubs, Persian meals made the right way, the authentic way, the Persian way. And that business will be starting soon, in the very, very near future.
By the way, speaking of Persian,
excuse me,
I believe when we were discussing last week the 4 world ruling empires.
Hold on. What empires?
The 4 ruling world ruling empires.
Yes.
Outlined in Daniel in the Bible.
Yes.
Which was Babylonian.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to the Persian, where I accidentally misspoke. I said the Ottoman. It was the Persian Empire. Then Greek with Alexander the Great, and the Roman. So it's Babylonia, Persian, Greek Macedonia, and Roman. The 4 world ruling empires described in Daniel.
Well, Greek Macedonia was Alexander the Great. He was Macedonian. But Macedonia is like, is it Yugoslavia or is it Greece?
The whole situation there.
Yeah, that whole thing.
And then when he croaked, his 4 generals split up the empire.
Okay.
Okay.
And the only problem, I mean, look, the Spartans were like ultimate warriors. They were unbelievably fantastic warriors, but probably the only reason why they beat the Persians, who outnumber them tremendously, was that narrow pass in the mountains. You know, they used it as a like a fortress. They used the mountains.
Fortress.
Yeah, you know the story. But anyway, quick promo. This gentleman next to me is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, my co-host and mentor. It is a fine watercolor painting because Dr. Bill is a fine watercolor artist. Just Google the William J. Eisenman collection, and or go to our Newsletter Censored Facebook page and see the album. If there's something you like, email the Reverend Dr. Bill from newslettercensored.com. Ask him if the painting is still available, and if it is, you can acquire one, or an authentic, signed William J. Eisenman watercolor painting. And this right here is the backbone of our entire organization. This is the best way to join our organization, the best way to be a part of our organization.
Or to edify yourself.
Or to edify yourself. Go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. This is what we are all about. This is it, the foundation of our organization and the backbone of our organization. If you want to join us, if you want to support what we do in Mega Life 21 and Newsletter Censored, this is what you do. You get your annual subscription now, okay? There is a lot more information in this newsletter than there is on our talk shows or on our websites. It's loaded with information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? So get it right away, all right, to support this work. All right. That was my quick, abbreviated, yes, promo. And of course, this is, I just want to show you the beloved, especially to the gentleman over at the Truth Whispers, the beloved patron saint of all right-wing Republicans, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's trickle-down economics, which never worked and was never meant to work, as he trickles down with his urine on the United States of America. Ronald Reagan, the man who shifted the tax burden from the rich to the middle class in the 1980s, and I guess the poor with various taxes, consumption-oriented taxes. Here's the guy that did it, the Demon Reagan, your hero, your patron saint of the greedy old party. Trickle-down economics, okay? Trickle down, pissle down. Got a lot of wind here today. Pissle down economics. All right, go ahead, back to the articles.
A woman who paid $7 for a box of trinkets at a West Virginia flea market 2 years ago apparently acquired an original painting by French Impressionist Pierre Auguste Renoir.
Ah, Renoir.
Without knowing it.
Really?
The woman considered discarding the painting.
Oh boy. Was she nuts?
To salvage its frame.
Oh my God.
But instead made an appointment to have it evaluated in July.
He didn't sign it, did he?
When the woman pulled the painting out of a garbage bag she carried it in,
Garbage bag.
the owner of this auction house was nearly certain the painting was a Renoir with its distinct colors, light and brushwork. A plaque on the front labeled it Renoir. My gut said that it was right, but you do have to check these things. French handwriting on the back of the canvas included a label and a number. She turned to her catalog by the French gallery Bernheim Jeune that published all of Renoir's work. Lo and behold, It was in volume 1. Painting number 24349. Turns out to be Renoir's painting, Paysage bord de Seine. A river scene, I guess. The Seine? The River Seine?
Yeah.
Which translates to banks of the River Seine. It was determined, it dates from about 1879 and measures 6 inches by 10 inches.
That's small.
Small one. Small guys.
Why would Renoir paint such a tiny painting?
The painting is set for auction on September the 29th, and it could fetch $75,000.
Isn't it amazing what happens to paintings where after the artist
Is dead.
taking the big doit, sleep?
That again is
Dirt
one
sleep.
of the flaws of capitalism, isn't it?
If you are a producer of masterpieces, so-called masterpieces, why must they be masterpieces when you're dead and not when you're alive?
Yeah, you have to sell. You have to sell them for, if you sell them at all. You have to sell them for $1 or something.
Maybe you have to be dead.
And some rich bastard, after you're dead and gone, sells them for millions.
Maybe you're dead because society wants to screw the artists out of money. So you have to be dead.
Well, they do die of,
Huh?
They do die of starvation and etc. They have done.
Starving artists?
Starving artists.
So
yes.
the term starving artist
means something.
really did apply to a lot of the masters. And the poor souls did not enjoy the fruits of their labor.
I believe Van Gogh never sold a painting.
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah. Now his Starry, Starry Night is worth tens of millions.
Now you see how vile the human race really is? Those poor people, those poor artists. Salvador Dali, he made money. He was more modern.
Afterwards, yes.
He was more modern. Okay.
Not in the beginning.
I like Salvador Dali.
The Shenandoah Valley woman who found the painting has declined to publicly disclose her name. After weeks of research, Craner, the owner of the auction house, believes Renoir gave the painting to a woman who modeled for him. The painting was sold to Bernheim Jeune in 1925, according to the gallery records. And the next year was sold to an American lawyer, Herbert L. May, who kept homes in New York and Geneva. How the painting ended up in West Virginia flea market remains a mystery.
Interesting.
Both Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney and vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan reiterated at the Republican National Convention that the GOP mantra of reducing federal spending, of not spending what we don't have. They both indicated, however, that they would include in their budget plans increased spending on defense. This is despite the fact that the United States spent a total of $711 billion on the military in 2011. More than the next 15 countries spent combined.
Wow.
The United States' world share of total global military spending in 2011 was 41%. Unless the United States wishes to take over the world, I cannot understand why the United States has such a large outlay on military spending. The Republicans don't want to spend money on projects that the United States really needs, such as infrastructure, improvement, and development of renewable energy. But it's willing to spend money that the nation does not have on unnecessary expenditures, such as a bloated military budget. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Who's the bogeyman that they're afraid of? Huh?
I don't know. I mean, people ask me all the time, why are so many very well-educated politicians in Washington continuing to piss away tax money on things that are unnecessary, like a bloated military budget and things of that nature?
Well, possibly because the contractors who receive the moolah to produce a product for the military give them campaign contributions.
Campaign contributions. Corruption.
And cronyism.
So we're talking about corruption and cronyism.
Yeah. Yeah.
The devil's economics. Again, the devil's economics. Interesting.
To paraphrase one of the more recognizable quotes in American cinematic history, we don't need no stinking political campaigns. Give us an authenticated, verified business and political history of candidates. A job-seeking comprehensive resume, if you will. Work experience, company names, position titles, responsibilities, accomplishments. Just the vetted facts, man. I don't need to hear what a speechwriter tells a candidate to say he or she is going to do once elected. I don't need to see how the speech coach instructs the candidate to act when saying it. I don't need to hear candidates badmouth each other with claims and counterclaims, innuendos, and unproven facts during debates. The voting public has been surveyed to death on opinions regarding actions it wants to see taken to accomplish the desired goals, only to have those regurgitated back to us as the candidates' to-do lists in recorded telephone calls, on TV, in newspapers, and campaigns. And look, he's wearing an open neck shirt with sleeves rolled down. He must be talking to blue-collar or middle American voters. Or he's wearing a tailored business suit and nice shirt and tie. He looks like one of us, says the corporate world, telling the voters what they want to hear. Let's have no fundraising dinners, no political TV experiences, no expensive travel to visit as yet undecided states. Travel includes costly security protection. Let the candidates stay behind their desks where they were elected or hired to be, doing what they are compensated for doing. I think Dr. Bill has a lot of that up on his website, Dr. Bill for President.
That's right.
You know, about these stump speeches and traveling all around. It's all worthless. PR speeches. What the hell does that tell you about anybody? Know their history. See what they've written on. See what they've said. Get their resume.
Well, I've been the most important political banners that I put on the Truth Whisperer, I also upload onto Gary Null's Progressive Radio Network page, because they told me that that page gets a tremendous amount more traffic than the Gary Null page. Enormous amounts more. And now my banners and my posts would get a lot more exposure, so that's what I've been doing. But you know, it's most of this is common sense, but people are so lazy in America, you know. It's right at the tip of your nose. It's the proof is in the pudding.
Chocolate?
Whatever flavor you like, the proof is in the pudding, and you got to go by action, not by talk. People that walk the walk, not just talk the talk, go by their actions. As Christians and or as politicians, you know, look at their record, and make an intelligent choice, or go with your gut feeling. You know, who would you trust more?
Or write in your candidate.
Write in your candidate. Who would you trust more? A country run by
Johnny Carson's show. Who do you trust? Once upon a time, yeah.
I mean, who would you trust to run America? Big business or big government? I trust big government more than big business.
Well, you got to determine which parts of the government are big. All the Republicans are constantly, it's the social part of the budget that is
but they're
too big.
They're constantly lying.
It's the smallest parts.
They're constantly lying that social programs take up a big chunk of the budget, and that's a total lie.
I have a graph in this issue coming out, the newsletter, which states emphatically that 60% of the budget is the military.
There you go.
When you add everything up. All the rest is 2%, 4%, 4.5%, 1%, 1%, 1%. And that's 60%.
I think I put a
You want to cut something, there's your starting place.
I believe I recently put some of those graphs on the Truth Whisperer, where it has the pie chart and it shows you the percentages.
Yeah.
But they continue to spout lies and believe lies.
They hate the poor. They don't want anything they make is theirs. They do not want to share it with lazy people.
So you're talking about completely selfish, miserable, greedy individuals
who masquerade as Christians. Ain't that the hypocrisy thing?
So this obsession with the love of money is sounds like idolatry to me.
They don't recognize
one of the original sins.
They don't well, that's not one of the sins.
I said one of the.
That's the main one that the modern day descendants of ancient Israel are being punished for.
Yeah. Well, there's vanity too.
Because the modern day descendants of ancient Israel worship golden calves instead of the real God of the Bible, and therein lies the problem, because the God of the Bible is a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Period.
Now, I just want to make a statement here in honor of all of the peaceful, nice, decent, law-abiding Muslim Americans and Muslims throughout the world that are not right-wing extremists. They're not extremists. They're very nice people. Did you know, Dr. Bill, that the four primary angels of Islam are the same angels that that Judaism talks about? Michael, Gabriel, and a couple of others, but they believe, they believe in Michael and Gabriel as the messenger, and Gabriel, which the Muslims called Jebril, which is capital Jebril, is Gabriel, and he was the messenger that taught Muhammad, that brought the message to Muhammad. And somebody sabotaged and destroyed the original writings of Muhammad, as was taken by the angel Gabriel.
The third caliph,
he destroyed the original.
Every Quran in existence today is his exportations, his censored version.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of like what the Republicans are trying to do to the Christian Bible?
Yes.
So he rewrote what the archangel Gabriel or Jebril told Muhammad. He took that, destroyed the originals, and rewrote it. Okay, and from Muhammad. Okay, as similar to what the right-wing Republicans are doing to the original Christian Bible. You know, education is so important. You know, and all you people out there that are
history is important
persecuting these Muslims, huh?
But conservative Republicans do not believe in history. They rewrite it to suit their ideology.
Yeah, and people repeat it too.
Well, something that is repeated often enough becomes truth. Because it's not the truth or the facts that are important. It is perception. Perception. If you perceive something is true, it's true. Ipso facto ergo.
Yeah, not like Nazi Germany did that. They repeat a lie often enough and it becomes true. Yeah. It was Joseph Goebbels, right?
Yes, the right-wing conservative has studied Goebbels, they have studied Stalin, they have studied Saul Alinsky, they have studied all their enemies.
So when they perceive the truth as being different than what the truth really is, then that truth is distorted and twisted and redefined in the minds, the imagination, in the stupid ideology of the right wing, right?
Well, there was a woman who is worshipped by the right wing, who put this all in a book, a big 1,000-page book called Atlas Shrugged. Her name was Ayn Rand.
She had that much time in her hands?
Well, she was a philosopher.
A 1,000-page book to
honor the billionaires.
So Ayn Rand,
job creator.
So Ayn Rand was one of the first greedy right-wing people, obsessed with money.
One of the first? Come on, one of the first. What are you? History just began in the 21st century?
No. Well, Nimrod. Who's the first to start capitalism? King Nimrod of Babylon.
Capitalism grew out of feudalism. There's no such thing as capitalism back in the days of Babylonia or Noah.
Well, the whole practice of buying low and selling high. The markets. Duping people out of their money.
Well, that was anything that was contrary to God's economics in those days.
Right.
But it was not capitalism. Okay?
Capitalism came out of feudalism. Like when the king says, you are not allowed to hunt the king's deer,
as I told you,
in the king's forest.
Capitalism cannot occur unless somebody has a lot of capital.
And then they confiscate the world's wealth and natural resources, and they claim it is theirs, and that you have to pay for it. Which I forgot to mention at the beginning of this show. To live in a system that is run by right-wing Republicans is a form of capitalism where everyone has to pay out of pocket for absolutely every damn thing.
Yeah.
Everything. You want water to flush your toilet and cook and drink, you got to pay for that. You can't even watch free television anymore. You gotta pay for cable in order to get basic stations, right? Now there's garbage on local radio stations, so what do? They sucker you into getting satellite radio. That's another monthly fee. So everything that was free before, you gotta pay a monthly fee for. A fee for this, a fee for that, a fee. Fees to drive your car. Yeah, right. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Here comes Chris Christie. Is that an Dum. Is that an earthquake? Oh no, that's Chris Christie walking this way.
Heading towards the refrigerator.
Heading towards the friggin' farms and to clean them out. Anyway, oh, did you see that banner? It says, Old MacDonald had a farm until Monsanto and the government shut him down. That was cute. I thought that was clever. So
very cute, yeah.
I put that up. But anyway, to pay out of pocket for every damn thing sucks. You hear that, Republican voters?
doesn't make any sense. I'll just throw this out here.
Privatization of everything.
Doesn't make any sense.
Come on, give me a break.
The government invents satellites. They throw a bunch of them up into space.
Michelele.
Then we can bounce television images off the satellite. Okay. So to do that, we need a dish. We buy a dish. Why do we have to have DirecTV or the Dish Network in between there, paying them a fee to receive these free signals from space?
Correct. Why?
I don't know why. That's my point. That's my point with the ISPs and all this other stuff. This stuff should be free.
Right.
As Jonas Salk said, when they said, well, why don't you patent the polio vaccine? You can't patent the sun, he said. Well, obviously you can, because Monsanto has patented what they call living things.
Exactly. Patenting Mother Nature.
Yeah.
How appalling that is. How ridiculous that sounds. Nobody should pay a cover charge to go on the beach because the beach belongs to the state or the United States of America.
The commons.
All American citizens should be allowed to go on a beach without paying a cover charge. But guess what? In wonderful New Jersey, corrupt New Jersey, you have to pay cover charge to go on a damn beach.
The winner of last year's Essex County Teacher of the Year Award is facing multiple counts of sexual assault.
Oh, really?
Another in a recent string of educators accused of having predatory relationships with their students.
Predatory? Well, it depends on the age of the student. You could never sexually, a teenage boy with his hormones raging is not going to be traumatized by any stretch of the imagination, believe me. You're doing him a big favor.
Eric DiPaolo, 33, of Montclair, an English teacher at West Orange High School, was arrested and accused of having sexual relationship with a 15-year-old male student she taught in her honors English class.
15 years old. When I was 12, 13 years old, we used to talk amongst I used to talk amongst our classmates that we were fantasizing about a pretty substitute teacher molesting us. We wished that we would get molested.
Fantasy.
We wish we would get the teacher locks the door and shuts some of the lights off and starts feeling us up. That was our biggest conversation back then. You're not going to traumatize these teenage boys.
DiPaolo,
it's a joke.
who is also
No, it's not a joke. What I said was true.
Who is also the school's junior varsity tennis coach, was charged with first-degree aggravated sexual assault, second-degree sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of a child.
This is his last name, DiPaolo?
Her last name.
Oh, her last
Not
name.
him.
Oh, her.
Her.
Oh. No relation to the comedian Nick DiPaolo.
Bail was set at $100,000.
$100,000 for actually being the woman to teach these young lads, you know, the ropes.
Police allege that DiPaolo began a sexual relationship
Predatory.
with a male student
Ridiculous.
sometime in mid-June, and it continued until this past Tuesday. DiPaolo, who taught honors English to the 9th and 10th graders, was selected as Essex County 2011-2012 top teacher as part of the State Department of Education's New Jersey Teacher of the Year program. She was presented with a commendation from the Essex County Board of Freeholders in October 2011.
Oh boy.
At the time, she was quoted as saying, "I am merely a representative of all the hard-working, dedicated teachers, especially those with whom I work at West Orange High School.
It's a nice town, actually, West Orange, New Jersey.
DePaulo, who is single, has been employed at West Orange High School since 2003, but was suspended upon her arrest on Friday.
Okay.
A graduate of Villanova University, DePaulo earned a master's in liberal studies from New York University.
A master's in Bayesian?
She serves as an advisor for the National English Honor Society.
Oh.
According to a profile of her on the State Department of Education's website, which gives biographies of all the County Teacher of the Year winners, she was working under a $2.5 million grant awarded by the United States Department of Education to design curriculum for a newly developed freshman seminar course. DePaulo made a video after winning Essex County Teacher of the Year in 2011, in which she said, "I don't have any children, and I always say that I don't have any children to go home and take care of because every morning and every day I go to school. I have 110 children that are very near and dear to my heart."
Yeah, they're very near and dear to another body part too, besides their heart.
DePaulo is not the first award-winning teacher to be accused of having sexual relationships with a teenage student. In 2008, teenage teacher James Darden was sentenced to 8 years in prison after admitting to having a 2-year sexual relationship with a student that started when she was 13 years old. A victim's advocate said Saturday that it isn't unusual for teachers accused of sexual abuse to also have been viewed by the community and their peers as standout educators. It's very common for the Teachers of the Year, the championship coaches, and the vanguards of education to be perpetrators. Adults who sexually prey on young children and teenagers are known to groom their victims first, plying them with attention and gifts. But Miller believes many predatory teachers also groom the entire school community by seeking out accolades and building a reputation of trust. They will put on this mask of an exemplary teacher to look the same as a true exemplary teacher.
Well, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Female teachers having sex with teenage males is not abuse. You're doing them a big favor, because that's all they're thinking about, is banging their good-looking teacher. And you know what? With some of the slutty girls in female sluts in whatever, high school, you're not traumatizing them either, because they're already sluts. So if one of them has a crush on her male teacher, I think it's the law is the age of consent law is ridiculous, just like I think making prostitution illegal is ridiculous, just like I think of making marijuana illegal to be ridiculous. All three of them.
And when you look at all
ridiculous.
when you look at all three of those,
ridiculous,
you will find behind them religious aspiration.
That's right. The right-wing fundamentalist, zealot, cultist, counterfeit Christian, phony, born-again, evangelical, religious nuts.
But yet they'll yell and scream about Islam's Sharia law that they want to institute in America.
Well, somebody, some Republican posted a banner on Facebook which says a person when Al-Qaeda kills 3,000 people in 9/11, and you know, everybody says like death to all Muslims, something like that, but I'm trying to think of the banner.
I saw it last night.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I'm trying to remember what it said.
I don't remember it.
It was a comparison. Well, anyway, go to the Truth Whispers. I just can't remember it, but it was. It showed a kind of irony, you know, and hypocrisy towards. Okay, all right. A person, Al-Qaeda killing 3,000 people in 9/11, and everybody says that, you know, destroy all the Muslims, whatever. But one person threatening to burn the Quran, and the world's Muslims are enraged, and they say, you know, death to America. So they were comparing the outrage, like, you know, of you know, somebody threatening to burn the Quran pisses them off, and of course.
Yeah, but one thing has to do with ideology, the other one has to do with collectivity. Like a bunch of people.
Yeah, murder.
Pissed off about 9/11.
Mass murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, genocide. 3,000
people.
The
ideology is what holds those people together as one. Whereas we did not experience 9/11 as, you know, an ideological
I think they're trying to justify the bigotry that right-wingers have towards Muslims. I think they're just trying to justify it, find reasons to justify the bigotry, just like their prejudice against gay people, and they're not too crazy about.
Well, they say they obey the Constitution. The Constitution says that, you know, no religious discrimination, and yet they practice it all the time.
They practice racial.
Islam.
They practice racial and religious discrimination all the time. The right wing, and
they're hypocrites, pure and simple.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they profess a lot of things that they're hypocrites of.
And they're like Romney. They profess one thing one time, and another thing another time. They're opportunists.
Flip-flop.
Whatever works at the particular time, that's what they do, and that's what they say. Forget about fact-checking.
Yeah.
Forget about later. And being responsible for your speech. You know, forget about all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like they say that, Africans captured and sold their own people into slavery.
So that justifies.
So to a right winger, that automatically justifies slavery.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, you know, the right wingers were saying that that photo of the restaurant owner picking up and hugging Obama was done on purpose to make Obama look like a regular guy, to make him likable. The right wingers are taking every little thing that's in the news media about Obama being a friendly guy.
What do they call it when you see Mitt Romney prancing around in blue jeans?
It's the same thing.
Same bullshit.
Well, didn't G.W. Bush come to New York wearing a windbreaker jacket and jeans?
And jeans.
Make him look like a regular guy?
Yeah.
They all do it. The photo ops, right?
Yeah.
Photo ops. Okay, do we have one
Are
more?
American schools the best in the world?
Hell no. Academically, no. American students are far below the best.
The answer is a resounding maybe. Which is good news. Indeed, for this back-to-school season.
Who says maybe?
Mr. Daniel Axt.
Daniel,
AKST.
he better
Well, we haven't heard his whole shtick yet.
He better ask himself this question again at the end.
Beating up on public education is practically our national sport. I often do it myself. But overlooked in the ongoing assault is strong evidence that U.S. schools actually are world beaters, except for the problem of poverty.
He sounds like, what was his, Larry the Cable Guy? That right-wing buffoon that has his own TV show?
The plumber.
Gary the plumber.
Not Gary.
No, well, both of them. No, there's somebody named Gary on cable.
Gary the Cable Guy?
Larry or Gary? I think it's Larry, the cable guy, and he's like a blue collar hick from Nebraska, and he has his own show where he's constantly bragging everything in America is the best and the greatest, like Archie Bunker, and American flag.
Joe the plumber.
Flag waver. In other words, he's a blue collar man that acts like he's a rich Republican.
He's going to be a billionaire one day.
I think he's kissing network ass, corporate network ass by saying that. He's kissing corporate ass by becoming a Republican, and the guy's in his like jeans and he's got sleeveless shirts, you know, denim shirt, whatever. Wears the same thing all the time. So he's kissing corporate ass so his show stays on forever because he's making big money now. That's what I think it is.
When it comes to reading, our schools may well be the best in the world. As Stanford University education professor Linda Darling Hammond points out.
Yeah.
U.S. 15-year-olds in schools with fewer than 10% of kids eligible for free or cut-rate lunch score first in the world in reading. Excellent Finns, the Finlandians.
Finlandia.
This 10% threshold is significant because in high-achieving countries like Finland, few schools have more poor kids than that. In other words, if you look at American schools that compare socio-economically, we're doing great. But wait! It gets better.
It does?
U.S. schools, where fewer than 25% are impoverished, beat all 34 of the relatively affluent countries studied except South Korea and Finland. U.S. schools where 25 to 50% of students were poor still beat most other countries. These results are from the 2009 Program for International Student Assessment, a widely followed effort to compare educational outcomes. PISA scores inspire a good deal of hand-wringing in this country. Overall, we are 14th in reading, but I suspect we've been taking away the wrong message by not adjusting for poverty. That's odd, because most people know there's a connection between poor families and poor school performance. The link is reflected in various sources, including the SATs, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and the trends in international math and science study. So, the connection which exists in most countries is clear, but somehow the implications haven't been. And now that school is again upon us, it's worth thinking this through. If American kids who aren't poor are doing so well, maybe our problem isn't bad teachers or inadequate school spending or indifferent patterns or screen-besotted children. Maybe the problem is poverty.
Well, the problem is always poverty. Sometimes the lack of money is the root of all evil too, you know. But I just want to say one thing. Are you done with this, by the way?
No.
Finish it up. 'Cause I want to make a comment.
And the shameful fact that we have so much more of it than any other comparable country. How much child poverty are we living with? A study this year by UNICEF found a U.S. child poverty rate of 23.1%.
It's a lot.
That's over 69 million kids.
Thanks to the Republican Congress. Thank you.
Oh no, wait a second. There was 37 million people on food stamps when G.W. Bush was in office.
Yeah.
Now that Obama's in office, it jumped to 46 million.
But why is it always...
It's Obama's fault.
But why is it always the president's fault if you have a Republican Congress?
Well, that has nothing to do with anything.
Sure it does.
It has to do with poverty.
Well,
poverty that began under Bush and continued under Obama.
Well, if jobs are continually being outsourced and the rich are not paying taxes and there's no jobs in the United States to be had, of course the food stamp applicants are going to rise and the unemployment will rise and the welfare recipients will rise.
So again, we go back to the fact,
the
fact that under George W. Bush, not one net job was created.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last couple of months, with the financial crises, there was something like 4 to 8 million jobs that went down the tubes. That's Obama's fault.
Oh, sure.
It's all Obama's fault.
That's like blaming the manager of a Major League Baseball team, saying it's all your fault that the team didn't make the playoffs or win the World Series. Oh, it's all the manager's fault. That's the same deal, man. You know, I mean...
Well, if he was on Wall Street, you know what they would do?
What?
They would raise his pay. A losing CEO, a losing manager, they would raise his pay.
Well, also, don't CEOs and upper management get big fat bonuses too?
Well, that too.
Very big fat bonuses.
But we reward the losers in this country. Financially.
Oh, yeah.
And we pay the rich. Such as ExxonMobil. We give them subsidies. Okay, the richest company in the world. Making billions in profits, tens of billions.
Remember the
Alamo.
The Alamo. Remember the scumbag company Bear Stearns? They gave humongous bonuses.
So did AIG after we bailed them out.
Welfare for the rich. Wall Street bailouts.
It amounts to.
Here we go again. But heaven forbid the poor should need a little help. A little help.
You'll make them lazy.
Oh gee, if the poor make $800 a month, they're too rich to get a Medicaid card. Oh, whoop-de-doo, like Medicaid is such a big prize.
We cannot tax the rich, but we can tax those on unemployment insurance.
Aren't they paying twice when you tax unemployment?
Twice? Are you kidding me? They'll probably be paying 4 times.
But it's taboo to tax the rich.
That's correct.
And
they call this a Christian country.
So, things that help the mainstream and the poor are taken off the table by politicians.
Automatically.
But making the rich pay their fair share, it never gets on the table. Never appears on the table. Let alone removed from the table.
Taboo, baby. Taboo.
It's taboo. I mean,
taboo.
Christie says the little people have to make sacrifices. Chris Christie, but what about the elitists, the 1%? They don't have to make sacrifices.
He wants to give them a tax break.
And what about governors, congressmen, and senators making like about $170,000 a year, not counting perks? All right, they don't make sacrifices? No, they don't.
Nope.
But the little people, the wee people, have to make.
There's more of us.
but because they think they're better than us.
All right, let me wind up here.
All right, wind up.
You gotta go.
Because I hear Beelzebub.
Way beyond any other economically advanced nation except Romania. In Spain, which is in a depression, the figure was 17.1%. In Canada, it was 13.3%. In Finland, 5.3%. If poverty is the problem, families in middle-class school districts needn't worry much about their kids' schools, but they should be worried about the society in which they live. For even if we have hearts of stone, we do not have heads made of the same material. Except the Republicans, of course.
Yeah.
Economic growth, to say nothing of a healthy democracy, depends on an educated citizenry. And we cannot afford to let a large segment of the populace embark on adulthood seriously under-schooled.
Hey, the country of India has tons of college-educated people, and they have the worst corruption in the world and tons of poverty, despite all the college-educated people. So what is he talking about?
We just saw it in the Wall Street financial meltdown. That corruption and greed and sin and whatever else, even though you have money, you still got it.
Educating every child in America does not ensure a better life, a higher standard of living. It doesn't. If the jobs are being outsourced everywhere else, you know.
Well, that's another problem. Here, it should be available. But here's the problem. Some kids, and I am one of them, are not ready to work at school. Maybe at the time they are there.
Well, thank God for online courses today from accredited schools.
And libraries.
Accredited schools.
Whatever.
Online education is very popular now. Actually, online everything is popular.
Because when I got out of school, and I did graduate in 1963, I immediately began a program of self-education at the local library.
You were very...
And have continued ever since.
You were always a very studious little
Not while in school, I'm saying.
Little bugger. Oh, afterwards.
Afterwards.
Well, some people...
When I realized my mistake.
Some people do get their education later in life. Yeah, but...
Okay, he's opening it right
He's opening it. But, remember when Jay Leno used to go around interviewing, he went outside approaching college students in California, asking them basic questions about American geography, what is the capital of this state and that state, could you tell by looking at the map what this state is? And they got it all wrong. So as far as American academia being so wonderful, I think they dumb down on the requirements, to accommodate the poor, unfortunate kids from not, maybe from not so wonderful neighborhoods. They dumb down academia.
Or they made the whatchamacallits, the people that are going to go on and have the money to do so, made it easier for them. Do not always blame the poor for the plights in our country, or their plight.
No, they have no power over the plights of this country.
Some education reformers, such as Diane Ravitch, understand poverty's effects on her schools. Jeffrey Canada has launched the Harlem Children's Zone Project to provide poor children with a comprehensive set of programs addressing both poverty and education. If the problem with education in this country really is poverty, It will not
Mm-hmm.
be easy to fix. Yet that is no reason for kidding ourselves about what's actually wrong. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Good.
That's it. Let me just write this down. Well, all right. All right. Now, you know, forgive me for looking bored during this very long final article, but since I don't have children, it's not, education is not a subject that, you know, tantalizes James P. Madonna.
Because you haven't put it in proper context.
But I like educating.
What is the problem with Republicans?
I like educating myself in things that I have enthusiasm for.
What is the problem with Republicans?
They blame everything on the poor.
They are
Number one.
uneducated.
Because that's,
How did they get that way? How do they remain that way? We got Fox News every day. They watch Hannity, they watch Rush Limbaugh, they listen to this one, that one, and the other, and still remain ignorant or stupid.
you notice the surprising number of women on Fox News that that support the greedy elitists. You know, women usually are the kinder and gentler gender. They're like
not conservative women.
They're usually a lot less corrupt, but conservative women, and they put pretty younger women now. You think they're doing that for a reason, to possibly get the younger female vote to vote Republican?
Everything that Fox News does is calculated. It's PR related.
Because any young female who's attractive, or even if she's not attractive, it doesn't matter, that believes in what the Republicans believe in, is just a selfish, greedy, miserable bitch, in my opinion.
And they are trying to find justification for being so.
They're modern day Ayn Rands.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what they are, Ayn Rand.
Except they are not as ugly as she was.
Oh, she was an ugly
Oh, yes.
Medusa. She was a